What's up guys, Ivan Carranza here, and today we're taking a look at the Origin Effects DCX bass pedal. Now before we begin, let me tell you that Origin Effects did not sponsor this video. They're not paying me to make this content in any shape or form. I'm just doing it because I really like this pedal, and I've been using it on tour this year, and so far it has not disappointed, and I'm really happy that I bought it. So I did get a slight discount on it from Origin Effects, but I bought it with my money because I was curious to give it a test. Now, I've gotten many messages on social media because I replaced my Noble DI, which is here to my right, with this on my pedal board. And a lot of people ask me if, it was better than the Noble, if it's, worth replacement or as an option. Now, let me tell you that they are very different. I mean, one is a tube DI, this is an EQ saturation, EQ pedal, if you want to put it this way. But so far, for my needs, this has been working great, and I've decided to leave my Noble DI at home for studio uses only. And this is due to being on tour, gear gets damaged, gear takes a pounding, and with the tubes and the current wait time of the Noble, I thought I would go better for a more reliable solutions, because if in case this were to break, I can just order a new one and there are no tubes in it. The construction is super solid, so I don't have to worry about this. And if you would like to hear maybe a comparison between the Noble and the DCX bass, let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can make that happen. The controls of the DCX bass are fairly simple, and the pedal is very easy to use, and you get great sounds out of this. So you have a level control, which is pretty much your output control. This goes into your amp or into a mixing console or your interface. You have a drive control, which is essentially your gain. And you have two EQ bands, which are boost and cut for bass and treble. You then have a switch right here in the middle, which is a high frequency roll off. So at the center position, it is flat. You get the entire frequency response of the treble. You then have a medium roll off, and then you have a darker roll off. And that is useful when you're really boosting the treble a lot, or also when you are in overdrive mode here on top. Then the pedal has quite a bit more gain. And as you're gonna hear in a second, you can get some really punchy, distorted tones. It's more of like a vintage overdrive and not like a modern, super tight and snappy distortion. It's more like a fuzzy, saggy kind of tone, but it's really nice because combined with the EQ and the way it reacts to your playing, you can get some really nice tones out of it. One of the things that I like the most about this is how musical the EQ is, and you're gonna hear that in a second, but really you can crank the bass control especially all the way, and it's not gonna sound muddy. And the treble control is also very musical. That one is a bit more sensitive if you don't use the high frequency roll off, but still both sound really nice. And I really like how this adds some grit, some saturation to your tone if you boost the gain right around the edge of breakup, which is one of my favorite settings. But let's check out some of the tones, and then we're going to talk a bit more about this. Now, I'm also going to show you some real-world live examples of my bass tone that I recorded while I was on tour on the road, so you get a feeling of how my bass was sounding. It was not entirely just the DCX bass, but this was the first thing in the chain of my live setup. So let's check that out, and also then go through the controls. I'm going to show you what each knob does in real time.
Arriba Colonia! Quédate a mi lado toda la noche hasta que llegue el día, reina de mi vida. Amanecer, tú y yo juntitos piel con piel, será dulce y suave. dulce como la miel. No todo está acabando en la plaza de fiesta. No te vas a salir con esta. Y todo el mundo anda comentando que con todo estás acabando en la plaza de fiesta. No te vas a salir con esta. Y todo el mundo anda comentando que con todo estás acabando. Dos ladrillos, mi camping, mi barra, el vecindario. Todos los domingos soy el pibe de mi barrio. Dos ladrillos, mi camping, mi barra, el vecindario.
Okay guys, so I have the DCX bass here to my right, and I'm gonna show you what the controls do, how it sounds like, both in EQ and also on drive mode. But right now the pedal is off, the EQ is set flat, the the high frequency switch is on the flat position, so it rolls off some high frequencies depending on where you have it. And we're in EQ mode, and the level and drive or gain control are set to match the output of when the pedal is disengaged. To demonstrate this, I'm going to be using my G&L jazz bass so that you guys hear a tone that you're most likely familiar with. So let's just hear how it sounds like with the pedal disengaged, and then I'm going to turn it on. So pretty close, to be honest. So it's pretty transparent. Now, like I said, right now it's set pretty much flat, but let's start boosting some bass, for example. And I mentioned, you know, the EQ is super musical, so just a little bit of bass boost here. You can already hear how it thickens up the sound, but it doesn't sound muddy, and I can really boost this quite a bit. And I really like how it sounds, that it doesn't like make the bass sound farty at all. It just thickens up the sound, gives it a really pillowy tone. And I can also boost it all the way. But I think it sounds super musical. You can really use all the range of the knob to find usable sounds. Now let's check out the treble control. So let's do it again with flat. So this is, I mean, you do notice more. I don't think I would go like this. This might be a bit too harsh, depending on what you're playing. For fingerstyle use, I think you can definitely get away with it. So it doesn't sound bad. The cool thing is though that you can boost a lot of treble and then use the high frequency roll off to tame some of the harshness. So I can do this. So it still gives me more presence, but not without that unpleasant clickiness. I mean, you can also go even darker. So it still has a lot of presence, a lot of clarity, more chime, but it's not like piercing, which is really cool. The way I've mostly been using it while I've been touring is that I've boosted my drive so that I get... It's gonna vary, of course, depending on the bass. You can hear some hair going on there. It's easier if I go to a neck pickup. Yeah, kind of like that. So I usually keep it like around like this, so that when I play, it breaks up just a little bit. Tiny bit of treble boost, tiny bit of bass boost, and then the volume just to compensate so that it's in unity gain when I turn off the pedal on and off. And you can hear it's, you can say, compressing the sound a little bit. And it's also making it a bit more, you know, squishy. Taming some of the transients, so the bass sound is more even, which is something that I was looking for because I'm combining this with my quad Cortex so that it, you know, adds some analog grit to the digital signal. And I really, really like what this pedal does. Now you can also go to OD mode, and you can already hear it's a lot more aggressive. So it has a lot more gain than on the other modes, so you have to compensate with the level. What I like is also that it retains quite a bit of your low end, and of course you can then boost it to so it adds a like a really fussy character. It's not a modern type of distortion. It's more like a vintagey sort of fuzz. But I think it's really nice if you put it in front of an amp. Right now I'm going direct, so there's no amp at the moment. But it is a usable mode. I personally like to use it on the other one, but there's some really nice tones that you can get out of this. If you really crank it and then you remove some top end, for example, if you grab a pick, it's really nice sounding pedal. I prefer to use it on EQ mode because it can go from a really subtle, just little crunchier sparkle, added to your tone, or you can use it just to spice up your slap sound, for example. As I mentioned, I replaced my Noble with the DCX bass at the beginning of the year for the tour that I had with Dr. Crapula, and to be honest, I was extremely happy with the sound during the entire tour. We're all using in-ears, so I don't have an amp on stage, and the sound that I had live was, for me, really nice. I felt comfortable playing. Front of house was happy. In front of the stage, it sounded great, and I really have no complaints. I actually wish they would make this as a DI version so that you also have an XLR out and maybe possibly adding a mid control. But I really like this pedal. It's super high quality, super solid, and I think the EQ is super musical. And for my needs and purposes, it just adds the right thing in the right places. So I really like, just like I mentioned, just a little bit of boost and just tiny bit of saturation to glue my bass tone to the other instruments and make it a bit more even and give it that like analog amp tone when I'm using a digital unit and going through in-ear, so I don't have any physical response to the instrument, but still I get a more natural response while playing. And as you heard on the live examples that I showed you, the sound is, I'm super happy with the tones that I'm getting out of this. So if you're looking for an EQ pedal, I highly recommend you checking the DCX bass out. And like I said, this is not sponsored by Origin in any way. I just really like the pedal. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the content that's coming to the channel. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.